Have you ever thought family was the safest place until they stared at you, right in the middle of Thanksgiving dinner, and called you a thief? I'm Sarah, and when my dad demanded I return $50,000 or never come back home, I was still holding Mom's favorite pumpkin pie. But that wasn't the worst part. The secret they were hiding, it's darker than any nightmare. Listen to this story because it'll make you wonder, what do you really know about your family? The fog clung to my windshield as I drove 3 hours through winding roads to my hometown. The pumpkin pie. Mom's quirky recipe with a half teaspoon of maple syrup, warming the passenger seat. Its nutmeg scent drifted up, stirring memories of childhood Thanksgivings, Mom's laughter as we mashed sweet potatoes. Dad's terrible puns, my siblings and me sneaking extra marshmallows. The small town emerged through the mist, a postcard of wooden houses adorned with golden wreaths, chimneys puffing soft smoke, streets aglow with the quiet promise of reunion. I'm Sarah, 34, a financial auditor in Boston, my days spent dissecting corporate ledgers, catching liars in their numbers. But today, I was just a daughter, yearning for the warmth of home, hoping to mend the fraying threads of family torn by last year's petty jabs, Emma's sarcasm, Matt's distance. I pushed open the front door. The wind chimes jingle a bittersweet echo of summers when we'd race barefoot across the porch. The house enveloped me in roasted turkey, pumpkin soup, and wood smoke, scents that once meant safety but now carried a faint edge of unease. The dining table gleamed with Mom's rare porcelain plates, used only once a year, silk napkins folded with precision, and candles casting golden flickers over dried flowers in a mason jar. Dad sat at the head, his face etched with stern lines, like a judge presiding over a trial rather than a family dinner. His gray eyes, once soft with pride, now held a guarded weight, scanning me as I entered. Mom fussed over dishes, her gentle smile fraying with nervous energy, her hands trembling as she adjusted a spoon, her apron smudged with flour. Emma, my younger sister, lounged at the table, sharp and radiant, her auburn hair catching the candlelight. She sipped red wine, her eyes glinting with a competitive edge, like she was sizing me up, her lips curling into a half smile that didn't reach her heart. Matt, my older brother, sat apart, mysterious and withdrawn. His broad shoulders hunched, eyes glued to his phone, fingers tapping restlessly. His silence felt like a wall, his mind elsewhere, as if he'd already left the room. I set the pumpkin pie on the table, its warmth seeping into my palms, and forced a smile, clinging to the hope that tonight could heal the cracks. Last year, Emma had mocked me for bragging when Mom praised my work award, her words laced with venom I dismissed as jealousy. Matt had muttered about me being too busy for family, his tone bitter, but I'd laughed it off, thinking it was just sibling teasing. Now, standing in the glow of the candles, I felt a prickle of doubt. Were those moments more than fleeting? I pushed the thought away, still believing in the magic of Thanksgiving, still craving the family I remembered. The turkey sat uncarved, pumpkin soup steaming in bowls, the room poised for celebration. I was still smiling, still hopeful, when Dad looked up, his voice cold as November frost. Sarah, return the $50,000 or don't ever come back here again. My heart lurched, the pie nearly slipping from my hands, the world tilting as their faces turned to stone. Time froze as Dad's words. Return the $50,000, Sarah, or don't come back, crashed through the Thanksgiving air like a sledgehammer. Splintering the warmth of the dining room, I stood rooted, the pumpkin pie tray heavy in my trembling hands, its cinnamon and nutmeg scent turning sour in my nose, as if mocking the comfort I'd sought. The candles flickered wildly, casting jagged shadows on the white porcelain plates, their glow no longer soft but accusing, illuminating my family's faces, once my refuge, now strangers. My heart thudded, a frantic drumbeat, as I fought the urge to scream, to collapse, to beg them to take it back. I'm Sarah, 34. The one who unmasks fraud in Boston's corporate towers, yet here, in my own home, I was the criminal. What are you talking about? I whispered, my voice cracking, barely audible, as if speaking softly could unravel this nightmare, make it a cruel joke. but no one laughed. Emma looked up, her auburn hair glinting like a blade in the candlelight, her eyes icy with a venom I'd never seen so raw. "Don't play dumb." "Sarah," she snapped, sliding her phone across the table with a sharp scrape. The screen glowed, displaying a bank email, a $50,000 transfer from Mom's account to one in my name. My breath caught, the room spinning. "This is fake," I gasped, my voice rising, desperate. "I'd never touch Mom's money." Dad's jaw clenched, his gray eyes narrowing like a judge delivering a verdict. The bank confirmed it. "Sarah," he said, his voice low, unyielding, each word a stone piling onto my chest. "Mom's account lost $50,000 right after you helped her set up online banking. Only you knew the password." I had helped Mom, sitting at her kitchen table on a Sunday afternoon, her nervous laughter filling the air as she fumbled with the app, distrusting the cloud. I'd guided her through passwords, security questions, jotting them in her blue notebook. Her peach tea sweet on my tongue, that memory, once tender, now felt like a trap. "You think I stole from her?" I shouted, my voice echoing off the wood-paneled walls, my gaze darting around the table, pleading for one ally. Matt finally looked up from his phone, his broad face pale, his voice flat but heavy. "We don't want to believe it, Sarah, but this email, this transaction, the numbers don't lie." His words stung, not just for their accusation but for their detachment, as if he'd already judged me guilty. I turned to Mom, my anchor, the woman who'd braided my hair, called me her pride. "Mom," I whispered, my voice a fragile thread, begging for her to meet my eyes, to shield me like she always had. But Mom stared at her napkin, her hands twisting it until the silk frayed, her lips pressed tight, swallowing words she couldn't say. "Sarah," she murmured, voice trembling like a leaf in a storm. "Just return it. Well, forget this happened." Her words pierced deeper than Dad's, a betrayal so quiet it stole my breath. I wasn't their daughter anymore. I was a suspect, a stranger in the home where I'd learned to walk. The pie tray felt like lead, dragging my heart down with it. I set it on the table, the clatter deafening in the suffocating silence, a sound that marked the end of something sacred. Emma broke the quiet, her voice sharp as broken glass. "You always had everything, job, money, Mom's admiration. You think you're better than us, don't you?" Her words dripped with years of resentment, her eyes burning with a jealousy I'd ignored too long. She was my little sister, the one I'd shared secrets with under blankets, now a stranger wielding hate. "I never thought that." "Emma," I said, forcing calm though my chest blazed with hurt. "But now I know what you think of me." Dad stood, his shadow stretching across the table like a storm cloud. "You have until Friday." "Sarah, return the money, or we call lawyers." His voice was final, a door slamming shut. I didn't scream, didn't cry, didn't beg. I grabbed my coat, the one I'd hung with hope just minutes ago, when I still believed this was home. The candlelight dimmed behind me as I walked to the door, each step heavier than the last. "Sarah," Mom called, her voice breaking, a desperate note tearing through the air. I paused, hand gripping the cold doorknob, my heart screaming for her to fight for me. "Do you want the money?" I asked, not turning back, my voice barely above a whisper, or the truth. No one answered. The wind chime jingled as I stepped into the fog, the cold biting my skin, the scent of pie lingering on my hair like a ghost of what was lost. I wasn't just leaving the house. I was leaving the family I thought I knew, their betrayal a wound I'd carry forever. The motel room was a claustrophobic tomb, its walls yellowed by years of cigarette smoke and neglect, the air thick with the stale scent of damp carpet and burnt coffee. Outside, a neon sign flickered erratically, its green buzz slicing through the flimsy, moth-eaten curtains, casting ghostly shadows across the peeling wallpaper. I sat on the sagging bed, the rusty springs groaning under me, my laptop's harsh blue glow the only anchor in this desolate limbo. My hands trembled as I balanced it on my knees, the weight of betrayal pressing heavier than the machine itself. In my mind, Dad's accusation, "Return the $50,000, Sarah, or don't come back," echoed like a venomous chant, each syllable a fresh wound. Emma's forged email, its cold text glaring from her phone, and Mom's averted eyes, her silence a betrayal sharper than any knife. Churned in a relentless nightmare. I'm Sarah, 34. A financial auditor who dissects lies in Boston's corporate ledgers, exposing fraud with a surgeon's precision, yet here, in this grimy motel. My own family had branded me a thief, their faces, once my sanctuary, twisted into masks of suspicion. The pain was raw, a searing ache in my chest, but I wouldn't let them win. The truth was my weapon, forged in heartbreak, and I'd wield it to shatter their lies. I opened my laptop, the screen's glare stinging my eyes, already bloodshot from sleepless hours staring into the dark. The coffee on the nightstand, scavenged from the lobby's ancient machine, was cold, its acrid, burnt taste lingering like a bitter reminder of the world it'd been thrust into. My fingers hovered over the keyboard, uncertainty gnawing at me like a hungry rat. The bank wouldn't share Mom's account details. Privacy laws were an impenetrable fortress. And Mom, my own mother, saw me as the enemy. Her faith in me crumbled to ash. I closed my eyes, willing my racing heart to slow, and a memory flickered a Sunday afternoon in Mom's kitchen, sunlight spilling through lace curtains, the air sweet with peach tea and her nervous laughter. Shed fumbled with her phone, muttering about the cloud she didn't trust, while I guided her through setting up online banking, passwords, security questions, all scribbled in her blue notebook, tucked in the kitchen drawer. That drawer was never locked. Emma's sharp giggles, Matt's quiet brooding. Anyone in the house could have slipped in, taken it, and used it to frame me if they'd built this lie. There'd be a trace, a loose thread I could pull until their story unraveled. I grabbed my phone, my fingers slick with sweat, and dialed Clara, Mom's neighbor, whose porchlight visits were woven into my childhood like a warm quilt. Clara, I said, forcing my voice steady despite the pulse hammering in my throat. Can you check Mom's kitchen drawer? There's a blue notebook. Don't let her know. Clara's voice, frail but kind, carried the weight of years spent sipping tea with Mom, gossiping about the town's quirks. Of course, Sarah, she said, a tremor in her tone, as if she sensed the gravity of my request. I paced the room, the carpet muffling my steps, the neon signs hum a constant drone. My mind churned. Emma's smirk as she slid her phone across the table, Matt's flat voice declaring the numbers didn't lie, Dad's verdict, Mom's silence. Had they planned this together, gathered around that same table, plotting to paint me as a thief? The thought twisted my stomach, a sickening blend of hurt and rage, threatening to drown me. I gripped the edge of the nightstand, the chipped wood biting into my palm, anchoring me to the present. 20 minutes later, my phone buzzed, Clara's name flashing like a lifeline. Sarah, she whispered, her voice quaking. The notebook's here, but it's a mess. Pages torn, scribbles everywhere, like someone rifled through it in a panic. There's a folded paper inside, an account number, not your mom's. Want me to send a picture? My breath caught, adrenaline flooding my veins like wildfire. Send it now. Clara, I urged, my voice sharper than intended, my heart slamming against my ribs. The photo arrived seconds later, pixelated but damning a string of numbers, cold and unfamiliar, and a scrawled note in Emma's unmistakable looping handwriting. Transaction 15K, Octi 15. I'd know that script anywhere. From fridge notes about milk to birthday cards signed with her flourish. My sister, who'd once braided my hair and whispered secrets under blankets, had left a trail. This wasn't just a clue. It was their fatal slip. A crack in their facade I'd pry open until it shattered. I leaned back against the headboard, the wood creaking, my mind racing like a runaway train. Emma's handwriting was a beacon. But I needed more, something to tie this account to the theft, to prove their betrayal beyond doubt. I was about to call the bank, my finger hovering over the number, when a sharp knock startled me. My heart lurched, and I froze, eyes darting to the door. "Who's there?" I called, my voice thin, betraying my fear. The motel clerk, a wiry man with a tobacco-stained beard, muttered through the door. "Just checking if you're staying another night." His tone was gruff, but his shadow lingered too long under the doorframe. Was he watching me? Was Carl behind this? I forced a calm reply. Yes, I'm staying, and waited, breathless, until his footsteps faded. The paranoia was new, a cold weight in my gut, but I couldn't afford to falter. My phone vibrated again, a number I didn't recognize. My gut twisted, a primal warning screaming danger. I activated the recording app, my fingers trembling, and answered, holding the phone like a live wire. A man's voice, low and cold as a winter grave, slithered through. Stop digging, Sarah. You don't want your family in trouble. The words were deliberate, each one a stone dropped into still water, rippling fear through me. Who is this? I shouted, my voice cracking, but the line went dead, leaving only silence and my thudding pulse. I replayed the recording, my blood turning to ice. Carl Grayson. Dad's old friend, Greenwell Mutual's manager, his booming laugh a fixture at our family dinners. His arms slung around Mom as he teased her cooking. Now his voice was a predator's growl. Proof I'd struck a nerve. He knew I was digging, watching me like a hawk circling prey. My eyes darted to the window, the curtains swaying in a draft I hadn't noticed before. The fog outside was thick, swallowing the world, and for a moment, I felt exposed, as if Carl's eyes were peering through the mist. Fear clawed at my chest, a cold hand squeezing my lungs, but fury burned hotter, a fire stoked by betrayal. Carl thought he could scare me into silence. He'd underestimated me, and that was his first mistake. A flashback hit me, unbidden Carl at our dining table years ago, his gold GM ring glinting as he poured wine, his charm disarming Mom, his stories making Dad laugh. I'd trusted him. A family friend who'd seemed like an uncle. Now, that memory felt tainted, a lie I'd swallowed whole. I shook it off, refocusing on the laptop, my hands shaking but my mind sharpening, a blade honed by necessity. The bank was a dead end without a court order, but this account number was a door I could kick open. I called Lena, a former Greenwell Mutual employee turned freelancer, her sharp wit a lifeline in this storm. Lena, I said, my voice low, urgent. I've got a strange account number, possibly tied to Greenwell. Can you trace its owner? Just a name. Nothing deep. Her pause was heavy, her breath catching. Sarah. If it's internal. I'm locked out, this sounds big. Dangerous. What's going on? I hesitated, then sent the recorded threat, my finger lingering over the send button. A silent vow to keep going. Listen to this. Lena. I'm not stopping. Help me, or I'll find another way. An hour later, Lena called back, her voice taut, like a wire about to snap. The account's tied to a shell company, approved by Carl Grayson himself. He marked it as a special fund, but it's a ghost. No audits, no oversight. Sarah, this is bad. Carl's not just shady. He's got connections. People who don't like questions. My stomach lurched, fear and resolve colliding like storm clouds. Carl wasn't just involved. He was the architect, the puppet master pulling my family strings. I needed hard evidence to bury him. Emma and Matt. Something undeniable. Bank security footage was out of reach, locked behind police or court orders. Then it hit me, the town's traffic cameras, perched at the intersection near Greenwell Mutual, silently recording every car, every face, in a small town like ours. Those cameras were the closest thing to an unblinking eye. I called Jake, a friend at the transportation department, his easygoing drawl a faint comfort. Jake, I said, my voice steady despite the fire in my veins. I need footage from October 10th, 15, and 20. Focus on who went in and out of Greenwell Mutual. Hours later, Jake's email arrived, a zip file labeled intersection footage. My hands shook as I opened it, the grainy images loading slowly, each frame a pulse of anticipation. October 10th, Emma, in a gray hoodie and oversized sunglasses, slipping out of the bank, her head swiveling like a fugitive's, her posture tense. October 15th, Matt, striding out with a cocky smirk, pausing to joke with someone off frame, his ease a stark contrast to the crime. October 20th, Emma again. Same hoodie, different sunglasses, her lips pressed tight, and each time, Carl Grayson loomed in the background. Baseball cap pulled low, his GM ring catching the light, his eyes tracking them like a predator stalking prey. My heart raced, a triumphant surge. This was the noose. Tightening around their necks, I dug deeper, cross-checking Emma's fake email. It traced to Mom's Wi-Fi, sent from the tablet Emma used for late-night Netflix binges. The OTP for Mom's account went to a secondary email linked to Matt's phone. Every piece screamed their guilt. And Carl's, I replayed his threat. His voice a chilling reminder of the stakes. He thought I'd fold. He didn't know me. I'm Sarah, the truth hunter, and I'd fight until the end. I backed up the footage, notebook photo, and recording to a USB, sending a copy to Theo, my colleague, with a note, if I go silent, send this to the FBI. Closing the laptop, I stared into the fog-choked night. The motel's neon sign a faint pulse. Carl, Emma, Matt. They'd turned my family into a lie, but I'd expose them, not for revenge, but for the truth Mom deserved, and the Sarah I was fighting to reclaim. The drive back to my childhood home was a pilgrimage through a fog of memory, the golden sunlight piercing the autumn trees, casting dappled shadows on the winding road. The wooden house emerged, its weathered planks and golden wreaths glowing like a postcard from a life I'd lost. But today, it was no haven. It was a battlefield. The driveway was crowded with familiar cars, Emma's sleek sedan, Matt's battered pickup, Mom's faded hatchback. No guests, just family, gathered like a jury awaiting my arrival. I gripped the black folder, its edges worn from sleepless nights, stuffed with evidence, the notebook photo with Emma's damning handwriting, traffic camera footage, Carl Grayson's chilling recorded threat. My heart thudded, a frantic rhythm, as I clutched it like a shield, part of me. A small, fragile part. Still hoped Mom would rush to me, her eyes soft with trust, saying she believed me. But the auditor in me, hardened by betrayal, knew that hope had died on Thanksgiving, buried under their accusations. I stepped onto the porch. The wind chimes jingle, a mocking echo of childhood summers. Now a bitter farewell to the family I thought I knew. I pushed open the door, the hinges creaking, and the house enveloped me in the warm scent of chicken soup and rosemary, a cruel reminder of the dinners we'd shared. The kitchen buzzed with life dishes, clinked. Steam rose from a simmering pot, and the radio hummed a faint jazz tune. Emma perched on the counter, legs swinging, her auburn hair catching the sunlight as she laughed over a coffee mug. Her ease a slap to my face after her betrayal. Matt leaned against the fridge, his broad shoulders tense, eyes glued to his phone, fingers tapping restlessly, as if he sensed the storm coming. Mom stood at the sink, wiping a plate with slow, deliberate strokes, her apron smudged with flour, her hands trembling like leaves in a gale. Dad stirred a pot on the stove, his back rigid, his face carved with the stern lines of a man ready to judge. The air shifted as they saw me, their movements freezing, the room plunging into a heavy silence, thick as lead. I stepped to the kitchen island, where we'd once rolled cookie dough, giggling over Mom's off-key singing, and set the folder down, the thud reverberating like a gavel's strike. My heart pounded, but I forced my voice steady. Cold as steel. You called me a thief, I said, my gaze sweeping the room, meeting each pair of eyes. Dad's flinty stare, Mom's flickering glance, Emma's defiant glare. Matt's guarded squint. You were my family. You were supposed to know me. Let me show you the truth. The words tasted bitter, laced with the pain of a love I'd thought unbreakable, now shattered. I opened the folder, my hands steady despite the fire in my chest, and pulled out the notebook photo, a scrawled account number. Emma's looping handwriting. Transaction 15K, Octi 15, Emma. You left a trail, I said, locking eyes with her, her green irises flashing with panic. Mom's notebook was torn apart. You took her banking info to steal. Emma slammed her mug down, coffee splashing across the counter, her face flushing crimson. You dare go through Mom's things, she shrieked, her voice sharp as shattered glass. You think you're a detective, Sarah. Always so perfect, lording your job, your awards, over us. You don't know what I've been through. Her words dripped with years of resentment, her hands clenched into fists, nails digging into her palms. I remembered her as a girl, curled beside me in bed, whispering dreams of being a painter, that Emma was gone, replaced by this stranger consumed by jealousy. I tilted my head, fury rising like a tide, but I held it back, my voice cutting like a blade. You struck first, Emma. You betrayed Mom. And me. I laid out 3 traffic camera photos, each a nail in their coffin. Emma. Gray hoodie, October 10th, her sunglasses hiding her guilt. Matt, smirking. October 15th, his confidence a mask. Emma again. October 20th, her lips tight. Not online, like you claim to frame me. In person. At the bank. You and Matt. Matt threw his phone onto the counter, the clatter echoing, his face red with rage. Enough! Sarah! He roared, stepping forward, his bulk looming. You don't get it, I did it to protect Emma. You've got your fancy career, your money. You don't need Mom like we do. His voice cracked, revealing a flicker of shame, but it couldn't erase his betrayal. He'd taught me to ride a bike, cheered at my graduation. Now, he was my accuser. Protect, I shouted, my control slipping, my voice raw with hurt. You let Mom think I'm a thief, you call that protection. My chest heaved, tears burning my eyes, but I refused to let them fall. Mom dropped her plate, soapy water splashing, her hands shaking violently. Stop it, she screamed, her voice breaking, tears streaming down her weathered cheeks. Why are you tearing us apart? Sarah, why didn't you tell me I was wrong? Her words were a plea, her eyes searching mine, but they carried the weight of her choice to believe a lie over her daughter. I swallowed, my throat tight, memories flooding back, Mom braiding my hair, calling me her pride, her laughter filling this very kitchen. I asked you, Mom. I whispered, my voice trembling, eyes stinging. I asked if you wanted the truth. You didn't answer. No one asked if I did it. That hurt more than anything. My words hung in the air, a quiet indictment, and Mom's sob broke the silence, her hand clutching her chest. Dad slammed his hand on the counter, the pot rattling, his face purple with fury. Enough! Sarah, he bellowed, his voice shaking the room. You dare accuse your siblings with these flimsy photos? Where's your proof? His eyes, once warm with pride, now burned with disbelief, as if I were the stranger here. I took a deep breath, steadying myself. The auditor taking over, they wanted proof. I'd bury them with it. I set the recorder on the island, my fingers brushing the cold metal, and pressed play. Carl's voice filled the room, cold as ice. Stop digging, Sarah. You don't want your family in trouble. Mom gasped, her hand flying to her mouth, her eyes wide with shock. Carl. No, it can't be, she stammered, her voice a fragile thread. Not just Emma and Matt, I said, my voice slow, each word deliberate. Cutting through the tension, Carl Grayson is the mastermind. I pulled the final document, an email from Lena confirming the account belonged to a shell company approved by Carl. He used Mom's account to launder money for a scheme at Greenwell Mutual. Emma. Matt. You were his puppets, hiding his crimes. The room fell silent. The air sucked out. The jazz on the radio a distant hum. Emma collapsed into a chair, sobbing, her hands pounding the table. I didn't know. She wailed, her voice raw. Carl said the withdrawals would clear my debt. I didn't know he was laundering, I was drowning in loans. Her tears were real, but they couldn't wash away her guilt. Matt gripped his hair, his voice hoarse. I didn't want to hurt Mom. Sarah. Carl said she'd be repaid. That you'd be fine because you're rich, I was wrong. Okay. His admission was a crack in his armor, but it came too late. I looked at them, my heart splintering. We'd been a family. Summers on the porch, winters by the fire. Now, we were strangers. You didn't just take money, I said, my voice trembling with restrained fury. You took Mom's trust, and mine. Mom stepped toward me, her hand reaching for my shoulder, tears glistening. Sarah, I'm sorry. I couldn't believe my children. I couldn't believe Carl. Her touch was warm, but it burned, a reminder of her choice. I stepped back, dodging her hand, my chest aching. You believed Carl, I said, my voice breaking. You chose a fake email over me. Dad approached, his eyes red, his voice low. Sarah, Carl's been my friend for 20 years. Who was I supposed to believe? The truth, I replied, pushing the folder toward him. Fake email from Emma's tablet, OTP via Matt's phone. Carl oversaw every transaction. Standing outside the bank, cap low, I have footage. The FBI has it all. Emma's sobs grew louder. Sarah, please, don't call the police. I'll repay it, I swear. You can't repay what you broke, I said, my gaze steady, though my heart shattered. I zipped the folder, my hands moving like in audit meetings. But this was heavier. A final act. I'm not suing family. I said, but the FBI is investigating Carl, Emma, Matt. Return the money and cooperate, or face the consequences. Mom, Dad, decide what this family means. I turned to the door, my steps heavy, the house's warmth fading behind me. Sarah. Mom called, her voice a desperate cry, tearing the air. I paused, hand on the doorknob, my heart screaming for her to fight for me. Thanksgiving is dead, I said, not turning back. You killed it. I stepped into the cold, the wind chime jingling, a final farewell. I left the folder, the pie, the family I'd known, carrying only my keys and a Sarah forged in pain. Scarred but unbowed, the golden sunlight faded behind the wooden roof of my childhood home as I sat in my car, the engine humming softly, a lifeline to the world beyond, through the kitchen window. Mom's silhouette flickered, still hunched over the sink, her movements slow, as if washing dishes could hold time still. The glow of the house, once a beacon of warmth, now felt distant, like a star I could no longer reach. Emma's laughter had ceased, her silhouette absent from the window. Matt didn't emerge, his pickup truck a silent sentinel in the driveway. No one ran after me, no tearful apologies, no cinematic reconciliation. The wind chime jingled in the November breeze, its melody a cruel echo of summers when Wed chased fireflies on the porch. I gripped the steering wheel, my knuckles white, the scent of pumpkin pie lingering on my coat, a ghost of Thanksgiving shattered promise. They'd chosen Carl, chosen the lie, chosen a Sarah they'd invented. A thief, not the daughter who'd poured her heart into this family. I shifted into drive. The town slipping away in the rearview mirror, golden wreaths on doors. Chimneys puffing smoke, the quiet streets mocking my loss. Thanksgiving was dead, and I was leaving its ashes behind. Back in Boston, the city's sharp edges, towering glass buildings, honking traffic, the bitter tang of exhaust felt like a new skin, peeling away the soft haze of my hometown. I returned to work, my desk piled with spreadsheets, my days spent unraveling fraud in corporate ledgers. But I wasn't the old Sarah, the one who'd laughed easily, who'd called Mom every Sunday to share mundane joys. The betrayal had carved a scar, invisible but deep, a reminder of the family I'd lost. I cooperated with the FBI, sending the black folder notebook photos, traffic footage, Carl's chilling recorded threat via a secure courier. My hands steady, but my heart heavy. 2 weeks later, an agent called, her voice clipped but professional. Carl Grayson's been arrested, she said. He ran a money laundering scheme through Greenwell Mutual, using dozens of accounts, including your mother's. Your evidence was the linchpin. The words should have felt like victory, but they were hollow. The FBI recovered $50,000 for Mom, along with funds for other victims. Emma and Matt cooperated, returning their share and receiving probation for testifying against Carl. I didn't ask where they were, what they were doing. Their names tasted like ash, and I wanted no part of their redemption. I stopped calling Mom on Sunday nights. The ritual that once anchored my weeks, now a wound too raw to touch. The family group chat, once alive with memes and plans, lay silent, a digital graveyard. Mom's voicemail arrived one evening, her name flashing on my phone like a ghost. I let it sit for 3 days, the red notification blinking like a heartbeat. Before I could bear to listen, Sarah. Her voice trembled, thin as wind through dry leaves. I was wrong. I couldn't believe my own children. I couldn't believe Carl. I'm sorry. The house feels empty without you. The message ended abruptly. Under a minute, her sob cut off by the click. I sat on my couch, the city's hum filtering through my apartment window, and stared at the phone. I wanted to call back, to hear her voice, to forgive her. But the hurt was too fresh. A bruise I couldn't press. I wasn't ready. Not yet. A month later, a letter arrived, its cream envelope a stark contrast to the bills and junk mail piling up. I traced my name in Mom's careful script, my throat tightening. Inside was a photo me, Emma, Matt, ages 6, 8, 10, sprawled on the porch in Halloween costumes. Me as a witch, my hat crooked, Emma as an angel. Her paper wings crumpled, Matt as a superhero, his cape torn from backyard battles. We were laughing, our faces smudged with candy. Mom's shadow in the frame as she snapped the shot, on the back. Her handwriting wavered. I didn't know how much I'd miss you until you were gone. I held the photo, my fingers brushing our smiling faces. The memory so vivid I could smell the crisp October air, hear Emma's giggle, feel Matt's arm around me. That was family, once, now. It was a relic, a moment trapped in time. I slipped it into a drawer. Beside the black folder and old tax forms, the weight of it too heavy to carry. I didn't open it again. The truth had won, but it hadn't healed the scar. It had only taught me to live with it. I found solace in small acts, reclaiming pieces of myself. I started teaching weekend workshops at the community college, guiding seniors through financial literacy, how to spot scams, protect their savings. The classroom, with its chipped desks and flickering fluorescent lights, was far from my sleek Boston office, but it felt honest, grounding. One Saturday, a silver-haired woman named Ruth gripped my hand after class, her eyes bright with gratitude. "You're a hero." "Sarah," she said, her voice warm. "I wish I had a daughter like you." I smiled, but my heart twisted. A dull ache. Mom had said those words once. Her arms around me after a school play, her pride a light in her eyes. Now. That memory was tainted. A melody I couldn't hum. I thanked Ruth, my voice catching, and drove home. The city lights blurring through unshed tears. Christmas arrived, stark and quiet. No tree adorned my apartment, no stockings hung, no gift box from Mom with her handwritten notes tucked inside. I cooked a simple meal. Roast chicken, a glass of wine, and sat by the window, watching snow dust the streets below. The absence wasn't as sharp as I'd feared, but a nameless pain lingered. Not for losing them, but for realizing the people I loved had chosen a false Sarah, a thief crafted by lies, over the daughter who'd fought for them. They'd chosen the easy path, the comfortable delusion. I'd chosen the truth, and it had cost me everything. Yet it had also set me free. I began to rebuild, not the family I'd lost, but the life I could claim. The workshops grew, my students' faces, lined with age, bright with hope, reminding me why I kept going. I started running again, the rhythm of my sneakers on pavement a meditation, the Charles River glittering under dawn's light. Each step was a declaration I was enough. The scar remained, but it no longer defined me. I was Sarah, not the thief they'd named, but the woman who'd faced betrayal and emerged stronger, carrying the truth like a torch. This story isn't just about betrayal. It's about the courage to stand when the world you trusted crumbles. Family isn't merely blood. It's the trust that binds you, the belief that holds you up. When that trust shatters, you face a choice: cling to the ruins or choose yourself, even when it hurts. I learned that the truth doesn't just free you. It forges you, giving you strength to rebuild, to help others, to become your own hero. If you've been wounded, betrayed, or cast aside, know this: you are stronger than the lies told about you. You deserve the truth, and one day you'll find light through the fog, just as I did. My journey was painful, but it showed me who I am and who I can be. If this story resonates with you, if it stirs your heart or sparks your own resolve, please like and subscribe to join me in exploring more stories of truth and resilience. Share your thoughts below. Your voice matters, and together, we can shine a light on the paths we walk. You're not alone. and you'll find your way, too.